Welcome to
The Venus Files.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Talia.
And I'm Carmen.
And we're back.
Yes.
Guys, I missed y'all.
I missed you.
Listen, let's just start off by saying we want to congratulate Miss Darylyn.
Yes.
Baby Parker has arrived here in this beautiful world, and we're just wishing her all of the best.
Yes.
She
Love
embarks
you.
on this motherhood journey.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So it's season 2, people.
Yes.
It's season 2, and I, for one, am happy to be here. Okay?
Me too.
Me too.
So many things that we could just touch on, but what I'm really excited about this season is that we're really going to get into some women's stuff. Talk about things that's going on with us, things that are going on with you. We can't wait to hear from you guys. I think that's what I love so much about season 1 is that we were getting, feedback from people, and they were like, "Ooh, girl, I agree with you when you said so and so."
Yes.
So I'm excited to hear from you all and for us to just talk about issues that affect us.
Yes.
Yes. So keep commenting and sharing stories, and we just appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, please.
So, are we gonna get right on in?
Please.
Yes.
Please.
So, it is March, and it is Endometriosis Awareness Month. So since we're going to be speaking on women, it's going to be about women's health today.
Okay.
It's not a very exciting topic, endometriosis. It's actually pretty painful and an ugly condition, but I'm excited to speak about it because it's just giving awareness and shining some light for all of us who may be experiencing it. Yes. Me, your girl, I got the endo.
The endo.
I got the endo.
Bro, I have never heard the
I don't know if they
abbreviation.
say it like that.
The endo.
I guess I have heard that.
I haven't.
I don't know.
I haven't, but listen, I'm about to use it. Facts.
So yes, so endometriosis. I was diagnosed with it. Just a little brief story on me. A few years ago, actually, but they suspected that I had it when I first kind of started my periods. We all start the periods, and it's all funky in the beginning until you get like regular. And then I started having really bad cramps. But I would talk to like all my friends. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm having cramps too." And my mom said she had cramps and my grandma had bad cramps. So I thought it was just normal.
Standard.
Right. Like it's just part of being a woman because we are the bomb.com of it. We go through so much. Then it just started getting worse. So like these cramps were just like horrible. I would have insomnia, so I would be up all night. I would be missing school. I would be nauseated or not have an appetite. So my mom finally took me to the doctor, and the nurse practitioner prescribed me some birth control pills. Now, I wasn't even sexually active. I wasn't even thinking about boys, but...
How old were you when this happened?
Right.
I was going into high school.
Okay.
So the summer going into high school is when I was put on birth control.
Okay.
13, 14.
Yeah, 13, 14 years old. And so that's
Quietly, that's standard out here.
Yeah.
Like people are really starting birth control younger and younger.
I mean,
yes.
You too?
Yeah, I started at 14.
Really?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Did you ever have to get put on birth control?
I think when I got on birth control was because I felt like I needed to be on birth control. So I won't share that age with kids, but just know.
It was a necessity.
It was.
I felt that it was a personal necessity for my life at that time. But no, it wasn't related to health or anything like that.
So I got on birth control, and what I thought it was treating the symptoms, years down, I can now say it was just masking the symptoms. It helped with the painful cramps. I mean, I already had regular periods, and thankfully I didn't have heavy periods. It was just very painful. And so just on birth control and, living my life, and then, met my husband. So you know how that goes, like the nursery rhyme. First comes love, then comes marriage, and then comes
the baby and the baby carriage.
Right.
That's what they say, y'all. Don't get caught up.
It doesn't always mean that. It doesn't always mean that.
Don't get caught up.
No, but so when I got off birth control because we wanted to start trying to start a family, that's when those painful cramps came back. Was like, yo, I'm here with the vengeance.
Oh, okay.
So that's when I went and had seen a doctor, and then I got surgery where they take in like a camera, a laparoscopy to go in and just look, and they was able to diagnose me officially with endometriosis.
Was there like an ultrasound or something first?
They can do ultrasounds or even like MRIs, and then look, Stephanie had to take a sip on that. Let me take a sip just so y'all know, because these topics can get real. We have a a little drinky drink. Don't mind
You know,
us,
it's
please.
Saturday.
If you got a positive video, go get you a drink.
Right,
Come on, sis, bring it on. Yeah.
Matter of fact, everyone stop. Everybody pause right here. Okay, we're ready.
Right.
Listen. But what was the question?
The question was, did they do an ultrasound first?
Oh yes,
Your
yes,
ultrasound.
thank you. So they did do an ultrasound, and they did even just sometimes when you go in for your pelvic exam, they can palpate, and they say like if you're, I don't know if it's like the cervix or what, if it doesn't really move easily, they suspect it could be endometriosis or some type of scar tissue or adhesions that is causing your organs to maybe be stuck together or something to not make it move easily or something.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Gosh, this is a lot. It's interesting though that you brought up how the birth control could have been masking it this whole time. So potentially that means they could have addressed it earlier if they had known.
Possibly.
Okay.
But they never wanted to do surgery. And I see why now, because it's like once you get opened up, it's a continuous process. Not for everyone. This is just me speaking on my story. And then I was young too, so they wasn't trying to have, do a surgery on me with so young. So they were like, if the birth control, works, then we're going to keep you on it. But it did work. But then your body would get used to it, or my body would get used to it, and then I would have to switch from one birth control brand to another. I tried the NuvaRing, I tried the Depo shot, all that to, kind of help keep that little monster under,
And this was all to alleviate the symptoms, like the cramps.
Yes.
What about your actual menstrual flow?
The flow, I still didn't have heavy flow, and even some of the birth control, how you can do like the continuous pills where you don't have an actual period. I would do that so often, and then have a period every 3 months, things like that to kind of help with the symptoms. And I planned my life around it. I'd be like looking at the schedule, like we're going where? We're going on a trip? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I would have to like count like my days and so and see, or switch my birth control pills. I don't know if y'all ever done that to try to like work around your plans. Right.
See, you just answered my question without me having to ask it. Because I was going to say, how does it affect like your day to day? But you had to adjust your life schedule around that.
Yes.
Wow.
And I did sports young too. I was playing volleyball, track. I hated PE when you had to go swim, but I still did that. And I would just try to adjust there. But more so for like my sports I was involved in, I would just kind of move around my schedule, or it's more so for trips. And Tylenol, ibuprofen, pop them and keep it pushing. But I just thought that was just the norm.
Right, because everyone has cramps.
Everyone has cramps.
I've learned so much already. We just started. Now listen, we've prepared some questions because we don't want to miss anything.
Oh yes.
But I do have a question. So as far as your providers, right?
Okay.
Because we're all in the healthcare world.
Yes.
I know that there are not a lot of providers that specialize in this. So do you know any resources in the DFW area that can help someone maybe who's watching this, or maybe something that we can link below of people that specialize in this, so they know the proper resources? Because sometimes we don't get the help because we don't know.
We don't know.
Right.
A lot of providers do resort to medications. They can prescribe some stronger pain medications, but that's just the symptoms, just kind of help treating the symptoms. There's the organization, and then I will link some Instagram followers that I do follow who are really good resources in regards to just providing insight on on endometriosis, but also not treating it so much medicinally, but also natural ways, watching what you eat, because they say like dairy products can kind of cause the inflammation and can cause more pain. So like watching your dairy products, watching soy, sometimes even gluten. My mom, back in the old days, they would like drink ginger tea, so my mom would make me ginger tea, like get an actual ginger root to kind of help. And then it did. I couldn't get past that taste. I don't like ginger.
I do.
You do? I like when it's with the sushi, I'm like, ooh no, I don't like ginger at all. But like
start the ginger thing until pregnancy. They say it helps with nausea.
Exactly.
They say.
Yeah, did it help?
No.
We're gonna have to talk about that then, huh?
Another story for another day.
So yeah, so I will share some links below of some of the Instagram followers that I like to follow that are physicians and that are just natural physicians or doctors that like to try other routes besides just giving medications to treat it. So that's a good question, Carmen. Absolutely.
Resources.
That's
what I'm here for.
And you know, Tia Mowry, the twin sister, she has been a great spokesperson on endometriosis. She's kind of shared her story. You know, she had her son, and then I think like 10 years later was she had her daughter, and she mentions like she had like a whole cookbook too about foods to eat, just to kind of help calm your endometriosis. It's really good information as well.
Come on, resources.
Yes.
This is outstanding. So I mean, overall, I guess you kind of talked about it already, but like now, how would you say it's affected your life? Because apparently it's possible, we don't know this though.
Right.
It's possible that you've had this diagnosis for like back to the teen ages.
Yes.
So now that we're in our 30s, our young 30s.
Hey.
Yes. Our young 30s, how is it affecting you now?
So for me, my endometriosis did cause scar tissue and adhesion. So when they went in to do the surgery, and let me just rewind back. Endometriosis, I don't know if we even explained what that actually is.
Let's go ahead and explain.
Yeah, so we're gonna go back to like the whole system here. So normally, you know, every month we have an egg that gets released. And quote me, y'all, I'm not a doctor, so fix some things. But
Fix some things.
we have an egg that gets released from the ovaries, goes down into the fallopian tubes, and then like if it's not fertilized with a sperm, then our body knows, okay, there was no pregnancy, we're gonna go ahead and shed this thick lining that your uterus prepared for in case you did get pregnant. So that tissue inside your uterus will shed, and that's when we have our period. Endometriosis grows tissue outside of the uterus. And so it acts like the endometrial tissue inside our uterus, but it's outside, so it'll thicken, trying to prepare for pregnancy. It'll thicken in other places like your bowels, your intestines, your fallopian tubes, your ovaries, and then it tries to shed, but it has nowhere to go. So it just builds up and implants in all different areas, and then it just starts to accumulate where it starts to make adhesions, which is like glue, and then it makes scar tissue, and then it can like glue and stick all your organs together. So in my situation, my doctor was like, yeah, you had your fallopian tubes, your bladder, your bowel, everything was just like all together. So she had to like separate it. And after my surgery, I had, no pain. So it's affecting me great now with having the surgery. They cleaned it all up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it can always grow back. So every case is different. Everyone who experiences is different. Please share your stories if you do have it or know someone who has it, because it just affects everyone differently. And let's see, I mean, like I said, my cramps are not as painful. I can pop a Tylenol if I have a bad day, or some ibuprofen, compared to before. I can still go on with my life, and thankfully. So that's just with mine. It's affected in that regards as far as the symptoms. But now let's talk about the fertility part. So endometriosis can affect your fertility. Not always. And just because you have painful cramps doesn't mean you have severe endometriosis. Because there's 4 stages of endometriosis. Stage 1, 2, and 3, and 4. With 4, being of course the most severe. And just because you have painful cramps doesn't mean you have painful or severe endometriosis. And you can have no pain and have severe endometriosis. So it's just each person's different. And just because you have endometriosis doesn't mean it affects your fertility. Some women go on with no problems, not even knowing, that they have it. So with me, it did damage my fallopian tubes. It did cause them to have fluid in them and get swollen, and I guess, I don't know, we have like little brush or like hair like things in our fallopian tubes that kind of help move things along. Well, yeah, that endometriosis is like, nah, we gonna get rid of that, sis. We gonna take care of that. So unfortunately, I did have to get my tubes removed because they were damaged. They weren't no use, and now we have to refer to IVF in regards to that, because it bypasses the fallopian tubes and goes right to the uterus. So
and here we are.
And that is where we at, ladies and gentlemen. And I make light of it. It is serious. Trust me, I've had my moments, my days, my nights of, tears. I do remember originally being told, like, hey, we might have to remove your fallopian tubes.
Okay.
I was like, nah, doc. Like, that's part of being a woman. You might not be able to see my fallopian tubes, but that's just me being a woman. And so I tried to get a second opinion and went to another doctor, and he was like, yeah, we don't have to remove those tubes. And so we tried surgery, and he was like, I'm just going to clean it up and see if I could just bypass it. And then we had to go back in again a month later and remove the tubes. And so I just remember, like, oh, am I going to be a woman still? Just dealing with those emotions and those questions that we have. But prayer and just support and just, it helped in the end as far as my pain and my symptoms. Yes, I have to resort to IVF unless God performs a miracle, because that has happened where women have been getting pregnant.
They say he's a way maker. Hey, that's what they say, child. The old folks say it.
Yes, yes. But I mean, look in the times we're living in, 2021. I mean, they've been performing uterus transplants. Just where technology is, where back in the days they didn't have the resources or the technology to even have children other ways that if female organs wasn't functioning as well. So.
See, what I love about what you just said is the optimism as it relates to finding a solution. And that's why these conversations are so important, because someone may be watching this and not even know about a uterus transplant or not even know that technology is that. So just the availability and access and advocacy for information can help so much in your planning as to what to do next. So that's exciting.
It is. It is. There is hope for those that are dealing with it, or there is hope. And always get second opinions. I always say that, because sometimes some doctors might want to just go straight to surgery or straight to just medicating. But do your research, and just once you start opening up, you'll realize there are other women out there that may have similar situations or symptoms or problems. But definitely do your research and talk to your doctors. Ask those questions, and don't feel like they're dumb questions. Because that's what I thought. I'm like, here, I know I'm a nurse, but I kind of don't always understand this part of it. So I'd be like, no, break it down to me. Do a diagram, show me, and things like that. Wow. But you said it, as far as being an advocate, we have to advocate for ourselves.
Yes, for sure.
Get that fourth opinion.
Yeah.
You need it, get it.
Yeah. Because it's your body.
Yeah.
The Lord gave it to you, and nobody gonna take care of it better than you will.
Right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But another thing you said that I just have to harp on for a minute is how you started questioning yourself about, this makes me a woman.
Yeah.
And I think we all have those moments that you're like, I just feel, this is part of being a woman, but we go through so much. We get to define what that is.
That's true.
Me waking up, making breakfast, going to work, going down my list of things and going to bed at night.
Yes.
I'm a woman.
Yes.
Like I own that. I take that on based off of my definition. So, anytime that you feel like you have to question that, don't.
I know.
You define that for you.
Yes.
And if you ever have another question, just call one of us and we'll answer.
Okay.
Like, sis, not today.
Yes, that is one thing about y'all. Y'all can speak some truth and positivity into my life, like you guys do. I be like, I leave from talking with y'all. I'm like, look, I'm bad. I am a bad mama jump. I can take over the world, Craig. I do. You guys make me feel so empowered. And so I'm just appreciative that we do have these conversations on and off camera, and that we can just talk freely and be there for each other. So I do appreciate y'all.
And I'm just glad you're not holding it in. Because and I know that probably takes some time to get there.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes we go through our different stages of grief.
Yes.
Not really sure where you are. And it may waver back and forth.
Yes, it does.
But, one of the worst things that we all can do is isolate ourselves. Because then you just go into this cyclical those thoughts you just had.
Yes.
And they're never the positive ones, they're always the negative ones.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why you need people outside of that to say like, hey, the sun is shining today.
Yes.
Let's go outside.
Yes. It's so true. Because I mean, the devil knows how to get to us women. And he was whispering some things in my ears like, you're broken, you know, and it's like, dang, you know, why do I had to be born with this? Because they say it could be congenital or, you know, it's autoimmune. It's just, it's not known as far as endometriosis, how it what's the cause. But, you know, my mom had it, my grandmother, it was just never diagnosed. So it can be hereditary, but it just makes you feel like, gosh, I'm broken and, you know, I have to deal with this and it's my fault and things of that sort. So you're right, but you guys touched on it. You do have to find the positivity in everything and the blessings that are around you, because there are blessings that are around. We just have to look further.
Yeah.
Like around and see that we're still here. There's a reason. I was ashamed. I did not want to talk about it. I did not want to tell people I didn't have no tubes. I was very private with it because I was embarrassed and I didn't want to get judged. Like, oh, you know, she can, you know.
I wish somebody would.
Girl.
I wish somebody would. But I think it's really gone full circle in this one moment that you went from thinking that you were broken to now being a servant. Because now what you've done is you've served your story to someone. Somebody's watching this and is like, oh my gosh, maybe that's me. Oh my gosh, I can get through this. Oh my gosh, she looked good. You know, like there's just so you flipped it and you told the devil you thought you had me, but now I've turned this into a servant situation. So I want to thank you for telling your stories. Thank you for letting us know. You taught me something today because I didn't know all about it. And I'm just excited to hear from everyone else. Like if you've heard of endometriosis, if you haven't heard and you learned something today, please let Talia know that she taught you something today.
Her Instagram will be linked below.
Her personal Instagram. Please share.
Please.
And then also we want to hear from your, because maybe you have a different experience as it relates to your diagnosis or how you were diagnosed. But I think it's so important to tell these stories, and I'm glad that we were able to tell this story during Endometriosis Awareness Month. And just excited for what's to come. It's not the end of the story. We'll have to, unfortunately, sis, you're going to have to give us an update. So, what's that one song? He turned it. God gonna turn that thing around for your good. Amen. Amen. So I'm super excited, and like I say at the end of every episode, I'm so glad we talked about it. I'm so glad we did. So again, we will link some information below, and thank you so much for joining us in this episode about endometriosis, and we will see y'all soon. Bye.